guys, and welcome to our first project of the semester. For this project, you guys are going to be creating what's called a Zentangle illustration, kind of like a coloring book page. But before we begin, let's go over some art history and vocabulary words.
So as I said on the first day of school, each of our projects will be correlated to an element of design. Now the elements of design are kind of like our tools in our artist toolbox. And those elements are line, shape, value, color, texture, size, and space. Line is a continuous mark on a surface made by a moving point. Your next vocabulary word, which I'm sure you guys already know, is geometric shapes. And those are man-made shapes such as squares, circles, and triangles. On the other hand, organic shapes are shapes that are fluid, flowing, natural, or asymmetrical. Let's talk about some of the history behind the project that you're going to be doing. So a mandala is a geometric figure representing the universe in Hindu and Buddhist symbolism, and it literally means circle. So this is kind of a more modern example of the mandala that you might see. But it actually originated with the Tibetan Buddhists, and they would create these really intricate sand paintings of mandalas that you guys can see obviously take a lot of time to complete. But then the mandala symbol was also repeated in architecture in churches, and now we have coloring books that are kind of in the shape of mandalas, and obviously it's been a lot more modernized now. So that is kind of the inspiration behind what you guys are going to be doing. And as I said before, the mandala is a symbol of the universe, so let's talk about symbolism. Symbolism means the use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities. Now I want to show you guys a modern artist who I think could really be a good source of inspiration for this project. His name is Jeremy Collins, and he's a contemporary illustrator, filmmaker, activist, and rock climber whose line art portrays a love of forests and mountain landscapes. So you guys can see some of his work here. I really like the fact that he keeps it pretty simple as far as materials go, with just, thin black pens or markers, and maybe a little pop of color here and there. But one thing he does exceptionally well is to have a good balance of positive and negative space. So positive space is space that is occupied by an object or form, and negative space is the space that surrounds an object or form. So here's an example of him using a good balance of positive and negative space. You guys can see that he balances out all of that empty white space around this lion with a lot of detail, a lot of black in the center of the piece. So what you guys are going to be creating is a Zentangle, which is a method of creating beautiful images by drawing structured, repetitive patterns. And let's go ahead and go over pattern. That is a repetition of specific visual elements. So here are some examples of what you guys could do for your Zentangle. You might choose to start with the basic outline of an animal and then fill it in with patterns, or you guys are more than welcome to design your own mandala, or you could simply fill your entire page with patterns and just kind of make it your own and really be a reflection of you and your personality and your interests. Make sure to take a look at the requirements for this project on Canvas. You'll see that you need a good balance of both positive and negative space, black and white. You'll need both geometric and organic shapes and patterns. And you'll need to make sure that you include at least 20 different patterns. In addition to these requirements, I also want to see your name somewhere in your illustration. It can be really obvious or it can be kind of hidden. Now let's talk about the supplies that you'll need for this project. Of course, you'll need a pencil and an eraser. And hopefully you guys might have some pens at home. Definitely need a ruler, maybe even some stencils. The markers that we have in the classroom have a bunch of different tips on them of different sizes. You can use a ballpoint pen if you have it, or just a Sharpie, or if you have a small felt tip pen like that, then that's great. The first step is obviously to brainstorm some ideas for what your Zentangle or your mandala is going to look like. I would maybe sketch it out in pencil first, just in your sketchbook, just to get familiar with the shape. Of course, when you start working on your real paper, whether it's computer paper or cardstock or Bristol paper, you're going to want to outline everything in pencil first before you start going in with the marker. Also make sure that in the marker stage that you trace your lines with a ruler if you did them originally with a ruler, and the same goes for any stencils as well. That way all of your lines are nice and crisp. After you guys are all finished, make sure to erase any remaining pencil marks. And of course, don't forget to have fun.